before, after. Wow. That is why I really like this plugin, guys. Hi guys, I'm Steex, audio video production. Today I'm gonna show you the new Dragon EQ plugin by Safari Pedals. This is a really interesting plugin and simple to use, but there are hidden really huge and complex things that will happen, and I'll show you in a moment. So let's see the main knob of these plugins, and then I want to show you also with the analyzer how it behaves, because it's really interesting how it behaves, all the equalization, and also how will change the equalization if you use also the drive. So this is a very simple plugin, but I think it really looks amazing. I really like also to see these two cables, because this is a pedal in a plugin. So you have three knobs for the frequency, so the low gain, mid gain and high gain. You can engage or not separately. You can go with the low gain from -12 dB up to +12 dB. The same for the high gain, -12 dB and +12 dB. But for the mid frequencies you have +10 and -10 dB. Then you can choose, of course, the point for the low frequencies, mid frequencies and high frequencies. This is very basic for an equalizer, but the very important thing of this equalizer is how it behaves, and I'll show you in the analyzer. Then let's talk about the drive. You can engage or not a saturation, so a drive per each band frequencies. So this is really important because you can push more frequencies, for example, only on the low end, or maybe if you don't want to engulf too much the low end, you want only to the mid or to the high, maybe for some saturation on the vocals. So really interesting. And you can also choose here if you want more on the side, more only on the mono, or of course 50-50 for a normal song. You have here the output, and you can also engage or not the oversampling. Here you have tons of presets that you can learn from and start from, and I've also placed a preset here for my vocal talking chain, because I'll show you in a moment how it will change the sound. Let's listen how it sounds in a full song, so in a mix. So it's all bypassed. Really smooth bass, increasing the low gain, and I'll show you in a moment why. Crispy. Bypassed. Bypassed. Crispy, and also I really like the smooth bass that you can get. Let's listen now, engaging more saturation. Wow. So this is before. It changes a lot when you use the mid side. So you can listen how it drastically change if you want to place all this plugin on the side, so you can listen much more, I don't know, it's wider the sound. Before, after. Wow. That is why I really like this plugin, guys. So now let's see, analyzing the plugin, how it behaves with the only equalization. So let's bypass all the saturation and let's see only the equalization. So we have the low gain. Let me show you. As you can see, it's increasing a lot in very low frequencies. I can also move it, the frequency that I want, but the really interesting behavior is basically this sort of cut, basically. So here is the behavior of the Pultec, and this is why I really like this plugin. As you can see, if I push more, it's pushing on the bass frequencies, but it's creating this sort of gentle cut. And this is the sort of behavior of the Pultec, because usually you can increase the low frequencies and generate this sort of cut in these low mid frequencies, and this is really interesting because avoid to have the muddy sound. So also increasing more, you creating this sort of cut. As you can see, I'm increasing in 12 dB basically, but if I enlarge this analyzer, you can see that I can go further. Okay, I can also move it, and basically you can create this sort of curve. This is really cool because, as you can see, now is really smooth, this curve. It's kind of like a Ď-Ď curve, let me say, because it's very linear on the bass frequencies, but increasing the point of the frequencies, basically you are creating this curve with this gentle cut. This is really cool. And combining also the mid frequencies, the mid frequencies has a really large bell. Keep this in mind, because if I use only mid frequencies, you can see it's really large, the curve. Okay, so the bell is really large. It's not steep. Also going down. Okay, and you can move it as you want. The same on the high frequencies. Let's see the high frequency increasing. As you can see, it's really interesting. Here you are creating a sort of tilt effect on the equalization. So you are increasing the high frequency, really like a Ď-Ď curve. But if you go further, look at this. Look how it will increase with exponential curve. And basically you are preserving all the bass again, because as you can see here is again linear, the behavior. Before was like a tilt, like this is like a tilting EQ. So in the first part is a tilting Q, and then will increase only the high frequencies like an exponential behavior. Okay, let's move now the high frequency point. Oh, it's really interesting. It's really interesting. It basically is like the bass frequencies, but it changes also on the bass frequency something. Really interesting, guys. Let's see also on the cut. Tilting. Oh wow. Oh wow. So cutting the high frequencies, as you can see on the maximum, so on the minus 12 dB, you are increasing a lot the low frequencies, almost boosting 6 dB. So it's really interesting. And here you are creating this sort of high cut. So it's really an high cut here. But instead, if you push it, it's really interesting, this behavior. Really interesting. But it's even more interesting if you, of course, combine all these frequencies, for example. So if you create something crazier like this, maybe, okay, it's really interesting, this sort of curve. Most important for your mixing bus, so for mastering, let me say. But really interesting is now engaging also the saturation. So let's see the saturation on the low frequency, for example. Let's increase it, And as you can see, it's increasing also the equalization. Of course, here I can show you only the equalization part, but of course it will increase also some harmonics that I'm not showing you this behavior here, okay? So you can see the behavior of the saturation on the equalization part, but of course you will increase, but of course you will engage more complex things like harmonics, for example. So as you can see, it's pushing only this side, okay? And if I move the point, it's really standard behavior of in low frequencies, okay? Let's see now in the mid frequencies. Oh my God. Okay, that's really strange and super interesting, because I really like when you can cut, but you are not basically cutting with equalization. You are cutting, you are creating some sort of equalization with the saturation. Look at this behavior of the mid frequencies. So increasing the mid frequencies on this point, for example, here we have on 2.8 kilohertz, you are decreasing this portion, decreasing. And look how it really, basically is like a cutting a resonance. Look here. That's super weird. Wow. And basically you are cutting this. And then if you go further with the mid drive, it's changing. It's changing. Everything is now preserving the bass frequencies and also the mid frequencies. Really strange. In the middle, it's really interesting what's happening. Really interesting. Now with the high drive, let's see only the high drive, how it behaves. Oh yeah. Also here, really interesting. Yeah. So it's like a dance between the equalization and the saturation. So you can really create really interesting curve. And of course, here I'm showing you only the curve, but behind this you have also saturation and harmonics. So let's see, for example, this is a super interesting curve. Oh my God, yeah, love it. I love it. This sort of behavior it's really remind me the Pultec behavior. And it's something that I can really create with my Empress tube equalizer. So it's really, really interesting that you have this sort of behavior with tube and really expensive gear in hardware style with this plugin. So really, really interesting. Okay, let's now try out on single instruments, for example, on the drums. Low frequencies. Oh, it's pumping. High frequencies, only very, very high, 22 Ks. Mid. Oh, really interesting. Before, wow. Let's try out now on the bass. So let's find something on the presets. So let's start with Bass Dragon, frequencies on 18. Let's listen, let's listen. Sub bass, basically. I want to emphasize more the frequencies where you have basically the noise of the string. So let's find out the frequency. Before, it's increased, maybe too much. Before, now. I really like it. I really like it. I want to show you how it sounds in vocal talking. So when you have to mix, for example, vocals for cinematic style, for background talking, or for example for podcasts, for example. So let's find out a session before. It's in Italian language, but doesn't matter, okay? So you can listen only the sound basically. Okay, let's listen. This is basically bypassed.
Il silenzio mi avvolge. Tutte le cose si perdono, nessun suono, nessuna parola, tutto è fermo.
Let's listen with more bass.
Parola. Non parlano le nubi del cielo, né alberi, né pietre, né voi piccole creature, né parla la scura terra, né voi che volate in alto e scompare l'immenso creato, muto il bosco, il cielo.
It's an interesting thing to use the mid drive, so the saturation only on mid frequencies, to focus more your vocal. Without using equalization, only using saturation, you will focus more your vocal, and you will have basically your vocal track to stand out in the mix.
Mio amico, passo dopo passo avanzo sul monte, non sento la tua voce. Dove sei? Dov'è il profumo di quella ginestra? Non sento la tua voce.
This is before.
È forse pazzia la mia, è forse follia il mio corpo.
This is now.
Le mie mani, la mia corsa. È pazzia essere libero da pretese e potere, è forse tutto fatto di niente.
Let's try out the preset that I've already made. So I try out a bit this plugin before. And basically I added a lot on the low frequencies, 6 dB, on the 123 Hz with some low drive and just a bit high drive. So let's listen how it sounds. So with
su questo monte intenso e profondo,
without,
il silenzio mi avvolge. Tutte le cose si perdono, nessun suono, nessuna parola, tutto è fermo, nessuna parola. Non parlano le nubi del cielo, né alberi, né pietre, né voi piccole creature, né parla la scura terra, né voi che volate in alto e scompare l'immenso creato, muto il bosco, il cielo. Mio amico, passo
it's really, really amazing,
dopo
guys.
passo avanzo sul monte, non sento la tua voce.
Before,
dove sei? Dov'è il profumo di quella ginestra?
bypassed,
Non sento la tua voce.
with the Dragon EQ.
È forse pazzia la mia, è forse follia il mio corpo, le mie mani, la mia corsa. È pazzia essere libero da pretese e potere, è forse tutto fatto di niente. Perché non parli? Perché?
Fantastic, guys. It's really fantastic. So guys, you have the link in the description to try out this amazing plugin, Dragon EQ by Safari Pedals. If you like this type of video, please subscribe to my channel, leave a comment below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.